When I first started doing keto, I was eating pretty meat heavy, but then eventually was slowly cutting out veggies where I did meat plus avocado for like 6 months probably. Sure. Like I love an avocado. And then eventually it turned into, okay, I'm gonna have a sweet potato and blueberries on the weekend with my meat. And then it turned into, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the sweet potato. I'm just gonna do meat and blueberries.
Hello, welcome. I'm so excited to have today Mrs. Lillie Kane. She is such an inspiration in the carnivore keto health world. Let's just call it health. Because, from what I have known so far and what I have seen of her, she is all about inspiring people to make better choices for their own health, and certainly has the energy, positivity, mindset, and vulnerability and honesty about her journey. So thank you so much for being here, Lillie. I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to connect and to spread more good, hopefully positivity and health advice.
Oh, perfect. So we were just talking about some recent happenings in your life, and I wanted to hear just a little bit more about that. So you guys tell me what's been happening recently for you.
Yeah, 2023 is like a crazy year right now. My husband and I got married March 6th in Hawaii. That's where we worked and met. So we lived there for years. And then once COVID happened, we came back to the mainland. So we got married and then we went on our honeymoon and we went to the US Virgin Islands. And then we went and surprised my husband's mom for her birthday in Pennsylvania. And then his sister's getting married this year. So we're just like bouncing around all over the place, but it's been all good things.
Wow, bouncing around, juggling all of it. And is your okay, so I know you're doing health coaching, you're doing YouTubing. Is this what's keeping you busy? Are there other things that you're working on in projects?
I wish I want to just like have a day. It's interesting because nobody sees like the behind the scenes. They don't realize like for now 2 years, I haven't had a weekend. I haven't had a day off. I filmed on Christmas Eve. I filmed at my wedding. I filmed on my honeymoon. I filmed like my sister, like it's just nonstop filming and editing. And but I love it and it's great. It's like, oh man, poor me. I have to make a TikTok today. But yes, very busy. It's nonstop, but love it. Love every minute.
Amazing. And what is your husband's role in all this? Does he help quite a bit or how does that work?
So he does actually all of the YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, and TikToks. So he like writes the script. He films me, he edits it, he puts the music, he adds like the sound effects from like slapping the screen or like karate chopping or whatever. And then he also will, like yesterday, the video that posted this morning, I had 30 minutes of footage of working out and I'm like, here, make it into 2 minutes. So he like does parts and chunks of the YouTube videos, as well as like keeps my schedule. He's like, all right, this morning you're talking to Dr. Sarah Zalbadar on Instagram Live. Then you're talking to Emily. Then you're talking to Dr. Steven. And it's just he just helps everything flow. And
he's your manager. You have he's your virtual assistant. He does all the stuff to get you at the places and to make so that you can just kind of show up and shine. Okay, so
he also adds the maturity to because if it was up to me, I'm like, hey, we should use a broomstick to show testosterone. He's like, nope, we're going too far now. But he's 9 years older than me, so I'm like, oh, the goofy, funny, silly, and he's like, you need to speak slower, be more mature, like because he's
kind of coaching you in your journey as well. Oh my goodness. Well, I want to have him on now. Wow. That is so exciting. Okay. And then the long content stuff, you do more of that. He does the short kind of, okay. You've got your delegation figured out. Okay. Well, where'd you meet him? What was your guys' story?
So I grew up in San Diego. I went to college in Minnesota and I froze my booty off for 4 years. And after I graduated, I said, okay, I'm going back to the sun, but I didn't want to go back to California. So I moved to Hawaii. So in Maui, that's where he was my boss at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And so he operated 5 of the locations. And so I worked under him. And then I actually just saw him as someone who's really mature and disciplined and like had their life together. So I didn't look at him in like a romantic way at that point until I went and saw him at the gym. And I was like, oh, whoa. I did not recognize the muscles there, mister. And so then eventually like the first thing I said to him when I saw him at the gym, like it just like blurted out. I was like, I don't like seeing you like this. And like, I didn't realize that was flirting. I mean, it was the truth. But then things like slowly trickled into what it is now.
Like, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, because he operated the majority of the island, so I couldn't work under him. So we had to tell the company, and then basically I had to like drive really far to go to work. So I ended up just starting a new career at that point and went to real
Oh my
estate.
goodness. Oh, okay. So you did, you were working, doing the Hawaii being warm. You didn't go over there for that job. You just went over there to be warm, right?
Yeah, I did work for Enterprise in Minnesota, so I transferred, but I did go over there for being warm.
Nice. And then you did a little real estate bout.
Mhm.
And are you doing any of that anymore?
No, because what happened is when we were in Hawaii, when COVID hit, no, the majority of people who actually buy a home in Hawaii are for people who live in Washington, California, and Texas. And so people weren't allowed onto the island for 9 months. And I couldn't even go into the homes and do a virtual video. They wouldn't even let me do that. So people were losing their jobs. They're calling me, I'm not gonna be able to buy a home anymore. And so we ended up listing his condo at the time. And then we sold that and shipped all of our things back here and sold everything and just started over.
How did you choose Missouri? Do you guys have family there, or how'd that happen?
So Bryce's dad's actually been a chiropractor for the last 50 years. So when we were in Pennsylvania, we actually moved from Maui to Pennsylvania, just like get our bearings and like be around family. And that's when I like kind of went stir crazy, and I was like watching Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is giving away homes and houses and money on YouTube. And I was like, wow, I want to do that. That'd be so amazing. Like how fulfilling to like give people all this like, wonderful things and make them smile. So I was inspired by Mr. Beast to create a YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel actually started as a DIY craft channel where I was making wreaths, candles, making different little crafts and sending them to people who would subscribe to the channel. Now, my crafts weren't that great. And one thing led to another where I started making videos like what to get your man for Valentine's Day, what's trending in 2022, what I eat in a day. Boom, that video went viral and I started getting all these questions. Wait, so can you have coffee? Are you allowed to have seasonings? Why don't you eat this? And so that's when I started doing more content around carnivore. But originally the whole idea around putting content out was just to make people happy, especially during COVID times. And then now I realize how important it is to help people with their health, because it's really hard to be happy if you're not healthy. So started doing YouTube in Pennsylvania, but then he was still unsure like where he wanted to go because he was in his mid-30s. He doesn't want to start over again with a career. But by being around his family, it was kind of the idea of let's see what chiropractic school is going to be like for you. So we moved to St. Louis because he started chiropractic school and he did it for a year, got straight A's. He ended up getting a thing where they said that he was the highest GPA in the school, and that if he would write an essay, they would let him go for free. But it was between him and another kid, and we were at that point paying out of pocket. We weren't using student loans, and the younger person, I'm sure, was using a loan. And so when you have to write an essay saying what's your leadership skills, your dedication, like show why you earn this over somebody else. He's older. Everybody else was in their 20s. Like he has a lot more experience and things that could make a strong essay, but they chose the other person. I think it's because of like, of course, they want to help the person stay in longer who's going to be using student loans. So we, at that point, kind of got a little bit disenchanted and disheartened because not only is he writing essays saying how it is unhealthy to eat a keto diet, how he's having to write tests, answering that it's bad to have all these cholesterol, it was just a whole experience. Very disheartening because he's around people who are 300 pounds in doctor school. And by all means, of course, you can be a doctor and be whatever weight we'd like, but it was just kind of eye-opening to see people cheating, lying, doing things where you're like, wait, these are the future doctors of the school. They're unhealthy. They're doing drugs. They're cheating off each other's tests. And so there was just like a lot of behind the scenes things where eventually I was like, hey, why don't you just help me full time? Because I really could use the help.
Oh my goodness, there was this disconnect. I mean, I have seen so many people try to stay in that are credentialed folks, right? So we have so many, we have cardiologists, we have brain neurosurgeons, we have folks that are still in that world, keeping their credentials, keeping their license, but man, it's a tough sell. And so he was just like partway into it and was realizing and seeing all this stuff. I am hearing this word pivot. When I hear about your life, Lillie, and I hear about what you guys are doing, like you are very, very open to the pivot.
Oh, and it's so difficult because other people, like you spent $50,000, that's never coming back, right? And I can't say like that Bryce has education in a doctorate program because people are like, well, he didn't get a degree, so therefore he knows nothing. When like everything that he had learned in school, he already had known from watching YouTube videos for free. Like he So, but then now he doesn't have the credentials. So now like, don't listen to him because he doesn't know anything.
Okay, so now he's the guy that makes the shorts. He knows the goods, he's got the smarts, and so he can be the guy that puts that all together. Okay, so you started with crafting, you started with this personality where you want to reach people, you want to connect with people. This is what I see that's so powerful. And you shifted gears. So at some point, meat and animal foods became part of your story. Were they always important to you? How did that part happen?
When I was making YouTube videos, I already was eating a ketogenic diet. I just didn't talk about it because I was just making my crafts. But how it started is, again, going back to my husband, he just has 9 years on me. So he had more experience. Where when I grew up eating lots of top ramen, macaroni and cheese boxes, and processed foods. And my mom, she tried her best, but she couldn't keep a job for very long because she was an alcoholic. So we lived on food stamps. So I look back on my life and I realized, wow, like the majority of my life, I was in a calorie deficit because I just didn't have enough money to be able to eat an abundance of foods. So I was teased a lot for being chicken legs, toothpick legs, flat chested, anorexic. And so when I moved to Minnesota, I finally had access to an all you can eat buffet in college. And I gained weight and I was happy about it. And I was also a track and field collegiate athlete. So I was working out every day, sometimes upwards of 6 hours a day. And so I could get away with eating tons of desserts and things throughout the day because I was lean, therefore I'm healthy. But I was skipping a menstrual cycle, having lots of UTIs, joint pain was really bad. I had mood swings galore, where you have that burst of energy, then that crash, needing to take a nap, irritable, crying all the time, depressive thoughts, anxiety. So I just thought that's what, this is normal. This is what people feel like, and didn't know you could even feel better. So then when I met him, he was eating a clean, healthy diet. I was like, oh, hey, let me give you some of these deep fried Oreos and pizza and alcohol. And he had already done a all fruitarian diet, a vegan diet, paleo, Mediterranean, keto. And so
wow.
So when I met him, he had already messed up his health with a plant-based diet where he had a lot of gut issues and skin issues. And so he ended up finding keto before I was in the picture. And the keto diet helped significantly with his gut health. So when I started adding in my Lillie Kane diet at that time, his gut and his skin was getting really bad. And initially, when you first start dating someone, you don't want to say like, oh, I don't have pizza and brownies and cookies and alcohol and I have no fun, right? So
he was kind of hiding those from you because he could tell how fun you were. He was completely smitten. He already knew like, this is kind of far-fetched because there's almost a 10-year age difference between us. Like if I seem like the boring old guy, like there's not going to be a chance.
But then one night I came home from work and he just looked like he had seen a ghost. Like he was just in shock and his skin was super inflamed and red. And like, it was just really bad. And he goes, Lillie, I can't keep eating like this. Like I'm just getting destroyed. And so I have to go back to eating a ketogenic diet. And at that point I thought, okay, we're not having bread this week. We're not having rice this month. And of course, too, he never said I had to eat like him or follow and do what he's doing. But because it's easier for us to grocery shop and cook and eat food together, I just started doing what he was doing and asking more questions too, because as I'm fistful deep in a bowl of cookie dough, he's not eating it. And I'm like, how come I need sugar to be happy? How come he's totally okay not having it? It's in front of his face. He's not even like tempted or like, let me smell it or anything like that. And I got so much pleasure out of having dessert every day. So I just started asking more questions. We would go grocery shopping. I'd put food in the cart. He'd pick it up, turn it over, read the ingredients and go, that one's for you. And I'm like, whoa, what's up? What's up with this ingredients label? What should I be avoiding? Then I would pick up a tomato. Oh, I'm not going to have that because, lectins. And I'm like, what's a lectin? So eventually I just started asking more questions and being really inspired by him that I just slowly started getting more into this.
No way. Okay. And when did he find carnivore animal based? Who was the influencer that kind of helped him with that? Or was that, did he watch the classic Joe Rogan, Sean Baker interview? Like, how did he figure out that meat was a big part of that? And how did that come for you?
So he did a ketogenic diet probably 6 years ago. And that's from Thomas DeLauer.
Yeah.
He has a different name now, but it was, Goody Beats, Logan Delgado.
Sure, absolutely.
Jason, who's now like the blood sugar king, and just more of those like Keto Savage, Robert Sykes, the keto bodybuilders. That's who he was, because he's a into like, I'm a man, I want muscle. If I eat a keto diet, I'm going to lose all my muscle. I have to have carbs to bulk. So that's how he got into keto. But then when we started doing keto again together, when I'm in the picture, he already was doing his keto thing, but then was noticing, I think the broccoli is causing my gut issues still. I think the spinach isn't agreeing with me. So he was listening to more Michaela Peterson and then Dr. Ken Berry, who had a video saying you can get all the vitamins and minerals you need from just beef, bacon, butter, liver, eggs, and sardines. And so for me, I actually have never really had the issues with vegetables or noticed anything poor for my personal health with that, but I'm a minimalist. I know there's a lot of books and things behind me, so it seems like I have a lot of stuff, but this room is empty. I just do this for
That's your decoration. The one spot you have clutter in your house, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I just gravitated towards that idea because he was not having any more of the cauliflower rice, cauliflower wraps, cauliflower pizza crust, cauliflower. And I'm like, how come I'm eating all this cauliflower and you can have more bacon? So slowly I just started moving more into it because I was like, man, I'm eating a lot of carrots over here. And I could just be eating more beef or lamb.
Nice. So it was a slow gradual from keto to realizing you just didn't need that stuff to coming more on the animal side of things. Okay. And I've heard you describe yourself as a hyper carnivore, which I kind of want to get into that. And I also saw that you have taken little bits of time and gone 100% carnivore. Has it mostly been the hyper carnivore road for you?
Yes. So a hyper carnivore, not a word I made up because I know it can get confusing because when you hear the word hyper, you would think more extreme carnivore.
Right.
But the word, whoever made it up, it is an animal whose diet is 70% or more animal foods. And so when I first started doing keto, I was eating pretty meat heavy, but then eventually was slowly cutting out veggies where I did meat plus avocado for like 6 months, probably. Like I love an avocado. And then eventually it turned into, okay, I'm going to have a sweet potato and blueberries on the weekend with my meat. And then it turned into, okay, I'm going to get rid of the sweet potato. I'm just going to do meat and blueberries. Then I got tired of eating blueberries and I was like, man, these things taste flavorless and bland. And I was getting the frozen kind. So I was like, I'm just not into the blueberries. I'm just going to do meat. Then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try doing the Paul Saladino kind of approach where I have a different kind of fruit and rotate that. And it was just too much fruit where I was having, my scalp was breaking out into like itchy, like dry, like cracked skin. So I thought, okay, if I have a dandruff issue, the fungus is going to feed off the sugars. I can't have there's like a cap for how much sugar I can have. So then I went back to just doing like meat plus some fruit, but just not in abundance. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to try the Chafee approach because that's when it was becoming more popular. Like, don't eat plants, don't have seasonings, don't have condiments, don't have coffee or tea. And
hardcore.
Yeah. I said, okay, well, we'll try it. He says, the last 5% makes all the difference. I say, oh, it did. It made me more stressed because I was trying so hard to be perfect.
Oh my God.
I couldn't have bacon because it has celery powder in it. And I can't have these sausages because I have black pepper. And so it actually caused me more stress to do so strict that I said, you know what, I'm going to be back to just eating my Lillie Kane diet, which is a hyper carnivore, or just, I want to have some mustard. I'm going to have some mustard. I'm going to have some lemon squeezed in my water. It is what it is. So
I love it.
Whatever else makes you smile.
Absolutely. So very animal based, with a couple of things sprinkled in every once in a while. But so with your client practice, you see clients, right? You're active, you have coaching and And so are most of your clients wanting that strict version, or like what % are strict carnivore and what % are in some other zone?
Now, if we're talking strict, I think the percentage of people who do strict is like 0.0001%. Even Chafee, I'm seeing him putting seasonings on his food now and using supplements and stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe with his, girlfriend, that's what's happening to make it more sustainable for them and their lifestyle. So I don't see too many people who actually do strict without coffee or without anything. But people will say to me like, oh, I want to do a carnivore diet. So, okay, great. Let's do a carnivore diet. And I don't even know what that means anymore, to be honest, because I'll make a YouTube video and I'll put carnivore and I'm like, okay, I'll make sure to not show seasonings, not show condiments. And then people will be like, you're still not doing carnivore because you have dairy. Okay. Now you're still not doing carnivore because it's not raw meat. So it's like, I don't know what the word carnivore really means anymore. So I tell people, we're not going to do the carnivore diet. We're not going to do the keto diet. We're going to do the Emily diet. We're going to do the Bob diet. We're going to find what's sustainable and works for your work life, holidays, social events. We're going to find what works with your, waking up schedule, and just, we're all different and we don't have to follow the rules.
Oh my goodness. I love this so much. And like, I love like Kelly will have like, oh, she's team meat, but she's more team kind. Right. And so we'll kind of like prioritize these values that we're really going for. And I would tell my friend the same thing, that she would kind of fuss about macros or this or that. And I would say, no, you need you need Dawn macros just for this is out. We're not doing this anymore. Stop, And so I love that we just like put our own name in it, and I'm doing the Emily plan. So,
which I know can be confusing for people because they're like, well, I just want help, And I tried my best in videos to like explain that, but it's just so hard because people take things and they're going to only pick up on certain things. So they watch one video of mine and they see me eating whatever. And they're like, so that's what she eats. And it's like, no, but then I confuse people. Oh, you changed your mind. You're wishy-washy. You're all over the place. And it's like, I've been consistent the whole time, but I just have to work on my communication at that point.
Absolutely. And so, okay, so your approach being meat-based, animal-based, I'm not going to use the hyper carnivore. Too confusing.
Yes. I stopped using it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we can just go animal based. And so that's been a part of your life I'm going on 3 years of, carnivore, but whatever carnivore means, meat, and so you're at, how long have you been in where meat's the main part of things?
About 3 years, the same.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Okay. Very cool. Do you see that changing?
No, but I do think people, I'm not a masochist either. So if like in the event that I find, oh my gosh, my blood work's getting absolutely catastrophic and I feel bad and I'm not sleeping as great and things are going wrong, I'm going to adapt and change to whatever that is for me at that time. And one of the things that Kelly Hogan had said to me too was that, you might find the perfect macros for you today. You might find the perfect carnivore animal-based diet today. And in a year from now, it can change for you, not because you're even watching YouTube videos. It's just because your body is changing. So I'm just going to always do what's working for me at the time, but I don't think I'd ever be plant-based. I've never been other than processed food plant-based, but I've never done like a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet because I've always loved meat. And my sister would do meatless Mondays. And I was like, but bacon, like what?
Why are you doing this to yourself? And with hubby, is it pretty similar? Do you guys eat pretty similar right now?
My husband and I.
Yeah. Nice.
He has coffee. He likes the taste. I've never been a coffee drinker. I have too much energy as is. So I'm like running in circles for him if I were to drink coffee. And then he'll have he has honey. I don't like the taste again, but he works out a lot harder than I do too. So I just have tons of energy. So we have different things. We do slightly different things. Like sometimes I can handle more hot. I can do like Frank's Red Hot and it can cause him like more digestion issues. So we do very, very much the same thing, but we have our little, of course, different Bryce diets and Lillie diets.
Oh my goodness. What are your go-to Lillie drinks? Because so you said coffee, you don't like the taste of coffee. You don't like to fuss with it to get, to add more energy. You have plenty of energy. What are the Lillie drinks?
The water. I drink raw milk every day.
Oh, awesome.
And then I do drink the element electrolytes too. Yep. And that's kind of like people will say like, oh, you're doing that because you're trying to get lots of electrolytes. There's a small amount, but I'm mainly doing it because like you said, I would like to have something that's flavorful too. And I'm not going to drink soda and juice and smoothies and stuff. So I like the element electrolytes for like a sweet taste that also motivates me to work out. Cause it's like, I get to go to the gym. So I get to have something that tastes like watermelon.
Oh my gosh. What do you recommend for people that are having issues with the motivation for the workout? What has kept you on? I know you're an athlete by nature. You've pursued that heavily and had periods of your life where that was a big feature. Does it come and go for you ever? Do you ever get into slumps? And how do you help people get through it if they're in a slump?
Everyone needs to go on Amazon and buy themselves a Bryce because I did, when I finished track, my knees were so messed up at that point because I did 8 years of hurdling and long jump and that my knees were just so bad. Now I realized too that it was part of the foods that I was eating because now I'm sure I could do harder impact things and my knees won't hurt as much. But I stopped working out after I graduated and I said, that's it. I'm a healthy person because I'm skinny, so I don't have to work out. And slowly I started gaining weight and feeling worse. But yes, so my husband, he's worked out consistently, never take a week off for the last 25 years. He started when he was 12.
He's a gym person.
Yeah, because he was obese when he was younger. So when he was 10, he actually lost 50 pounds when he was 10 years old. Because so ended up getting involved in the gym and has just never, he's like that person who's never taken time off. I have taken a year off. But he always says that he just prioritizes his health over everything. And if you don't have your health, what do you have? So he doesn't do it because he needs to look good. He's doing it, because looks will fade. And so when he's 70, he's going to still be going to the gym because he wants to do the thing that is going to serve his brain, his digestion, his heart, his sleep, his mood, his energy. So exercise is not something I would use as a tool of like looking good per se, because there's always something we're going to want to change about ourselves. So having like a deeper why as to why you want to do this. I want to do this because I want to be there for my kids and my grandkids. I want to be able to climb and move and do things when I'm older and travel. So I do go through slumps, especially even to this day. Like I'll go to the gym and I'm not like mentally as there, like, okay, I'm going to like get it. So I would say my biggest piece of advice would be listening to people or watching videos with people who are very inspiring. So like someone like David Goggins, he's an animal, he goes to the extreme, but he said he does things where I'm like, man, I am so weak. Like, I can't even believe I won't even, he's doing something to the nth degree. And I'm like, oh, that's good enough. So just surrounding yourself with people who are going to be pushing you.
Nice. Did you guys go to the gym together?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got your workout buddy like built in.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
People are like, aren't you ever tired of them? Like, we wake up, we take a walk around the block together, eat our meal together, work out together, do everything together. And then if like he leaves to go grocery shopping or something, he comes back, I'm like, I missed you.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute. That's amazing. Wow. How do you help people deal with cravings? And I want to get into like, let's just deal with that. Let's just, how are you helping people? They're wanting to make the right choice. They're watching what you're doing. They're like, okay, she's animal based and she has things under control. Do you still get cravings? Do they still call to you personally? Are you still in a, like having to manage that mentally or have some tricks to deal with that? And what are you finding really helps people?
I remember when I actually wasn't a soda drinker my whole life, because when I was really young, I watched someone put a tooth inside of a Dr. Pepper and the tooth like rotted immediately. So for pretty much my whole life, I haven't been a soda drinker. With that being said, when I go to the grocery store, I never see the soda. So same thing like with dog food, like I don't eat dog food, so I don't go down the dog food aisle, nor do I see it. And so I remember when I first started making healthier choices and I still wanted that sugar, I wanted that dessert. I would do a good job getting through the grocery store. And by the end of it, you go to the checkout and they have all the candy bars there. And I remember one day I looked at Bryce and I said, do you ever want that? Like, he's like, I didn't even know it was there. I didn't even see it. And I was like, man, like that's like me in the soda aisle. I'll get to that point one day. So at this point, no, I don't have any cravings. In fact, yesterday, or the video that posted this morning, I have been getting requests on making healthy desserts, and I just eat yogurt, like ice cream as yogurt. And so I made a healthy brownie, where it's the Carnivore crisp beef flour.
Oh yeah.
Egg and butter, and then some stevia with cacao. So it's beef, eggs, butter, and a little bit of sweet. I actually have never liked the taste of chocolate. Sorry, coffee, cheese, and chocolate. Yeah, I know. I'm like, and dogs. So I don't like.
How did you ever gain weight? I don't understand.
I like vanilla. I like caramel. So I made those brownies, and in this me, I was like, I'm not even interested in this. I'm just doing it so you guys have like a healthy option. But so no, I do not have cravings for sugars. If anything, like I'll have a piece of fruit, and like that is very sweet tasting. That is very satisfying. So a big tip I would say for somebody is ease into it. For myself, I didn't go from having ice cream and donuts to nothing. I went from having ice cream to keto friendly ice cream, Rebel ice cream, sugar-free ice cream that's still sweetened with stevia. Gotcha. And once I got comfortable having that, I said, okay, I'm going to just have one bite of it. Now I'm going to have one bite every other day. Now I'm going to have, and so it slowly turned into something else. So I like the gradual approach. Other people, they got that rip it off like a Band-Aid, because I'm somebody who's more of a moderator. So someone who's an abstainer, maybe they get that sugar-free ice cream and they binge it on that. So it's a little bit different. But the other thing I would say is prioritizing protein, because if we eat enough protein, it signals, if we don't have enough protein, our body is going to have a much harder time saying, okay, I've eaten enough. So it's until we've eaten enough protein that our brain will send a signal saying, that's it, I'm full, you're done eating. So if someone just continues eating their processed food diet, keep doing it, just prioritize protein. Inevitably, you're going to eat less of those processed foods because you're going to be so full.
I love it. And do you, I would, did you specifically say animal protein, or have you found other, I guess, yeah. I'm like, what else would they do that if they're increasing their protein?
Well, they could do nuts. They could do
Oh,
like, I don't know, beans and rice or something. But
gotcha.
why, like, nuts are so expensive anyway. Like, why are we even wasting your time with that?
And you've never had a problem with nuts? Like you've never had like an addiction issue with those?
When I did keto in the beginning, I was using macadamia nuts and walnuts, but no addiction to it. It was so expensive. It's hard to be addicted.
That's so great. That didn't seem to dissuade me. That was one of my main issues with the nut butters, nuts. Like, so anytime anybody mentions that, I'm like, trigger food. To me, nuts are more of a trigger food than an ice cream or a potato chip or
Oh,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But they're guised as healthy. They're guised as, so when you're
yeah.
thinking that's food, that's a healthy food, then you also give yourself this other permission, but you're giving yourself permission into something that is like lighting up all kinds of activities in your mind that are not the best to be activated.
It's super easy to overeat.
Yeah, absolutely. And so so when you're saying prioritize protein, are you having people count their grams or whatever, hitting like a certain, goal? How's that going?
Well, I guess just initially for like anybody listening to this, don't
Yeah.
book a coaching call with me. Don't just eat more protein and start
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
then, but as far as like what I do with people one-on-one, I say to start with just eating your ideal body weight in grams of protein. It's
I like
simple. I don't want to do like 0.8. We're just going to keep it simple. Just do 1 gram.
You have to do 0.8 of their kilograms. You have to convert
Yeah.
their weight into kilograms. Then you have to go 0.7 to 1.5. And I'm like, okay, I love what you're saying. Ideal weight, and just kind of shoot for that ish in your protein range. Yeah.
And sometimes people can get confused with when I say to eat, like, so for example, if I'm someone who's 160 pounds and I want to be 140 pounds, that 140 pounds is your ideal weight. So if someone is 140 pounds and they want to remain 140 pounds, that is your ideal weight. And if you're 120 and you want to be 140, that is your ideal weight. So if I'm eating 140 grams of protein, that does not mean 140 grams of chicken that is on a scale. It means if you were to turn over your package of your food and it says, there's 20 grams of protein in this burger patty, that is the protein we're talking about.
Love it. No, it's very confusing because you have to, and in the carnivore world, people will say 2 pounds of meat, 1 pound of meat. And so they're used to looking at the weight of the meat as the grams and not reading into the protein as the grams. So that makes a lot of sense. How do you help people, and how have yourself dealt with emotional eating?
I would start by reading books.
Yeah.
So some of the books that I would recommend would be a book called Letting Go. There's also Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and The Power of Now. And I think going back into why am I doing these like self-sabotaging, self-abusing things? Because we think like, oh, like I'm just eating unhealthy because I'm stressed. Okay, but where did this all start? So there's help. How do I deal with emotional eating? Is just boiling down to like, what's the root thing going on? And then let's just say it how it is. Like for a long time, I avoided talking about like what my personal life was or like what happened in my life. But as soon as you talk about it, it kind of frees you. So same thing with like somebody, I was talking to Amanda over at Carnivore Recipe, and she has weight to lose still. So she's lost 100 pounds. She's drastically changed her health, but she still has weight to lose. And so she said that she would read comments people were leaving saying, you're eating the KFC diet and you're fat. And she said that hurt her initially until she said, you know what? I am overweight. Factually, it is true. So your words can't hurt me. I am overweight and I'm going to keep working on that. Same thing with an alcoholic. You can't tell them, hey, you should go to AA and stop drinking. It's until they recognize and own it and admit to themselves, I am an alcoholic. I do have this problem. Then they can start overcoming it. So I think same thing with someone who's stress eating or emotionally eating. Of course, there's things like taking a walk or reading books or journaling, talking to a friend. Of course, there's things that we can do in replace of that. So I talk about like the remove and replace method. We can't just remove the thing. You have to replace it with something else. But I think first is like, owning and accepting what's going on.
That's amazing. Truth telling. And I haven't really heard that as much as a specific way to cope with emotions, but I think you're right. I think the more that you tell the truth and it helps you with if you're telling it to your friend, for you have a community through your actual audience. And I've noticed that you've become more and more vulnerable with what you share, in that way. And so I think the more that you step into that it takes the charge away from the emotions. Doesn't it seem like we're just trying to like run away from the emotions and avoid them?
Right. Well, and even if someone says like, okay, if you start truth telling yourself, like, okay, so for example, my situation, like I was abandoned is like what the truth thing would be. Like my parents aren't in my life. But then I have to make that emotional connection. Oh, I was abandoned because I'm not good enough, because I'm unlovable, because there's something wrong with me. When that's not the truth. The true part is, sure, you were abandoned, but the emotional thing that we put behind the words is so important too. So if someone's overweight, I'm overweight, but that doesn't mean I'm incapable, I'm unlovable, I'm dumb. It just means I'm going to work on being, and we don't even have to have all the same goals. Yep. So just because my goal is to, live my most longest, healthiest, best quality life, it's somebody else's goal. Like people in my family, they're foodies. They're like, I just want to go to the cool breweries. I want to go to the donut shops. And that's the life I want to live. That's excellent. I'm not going to push say, no, you need to eat healthy. You need to have my same goal. So just being truthful with themselves. Do I actually want to lose the weight? Because I have people too. They're like, I'm trying to lose weight, but I eat pizza every week. So you're not really trying. Is that true? So being honest with ourselves and then not judging it.
That's amazing. No, I love it. And I think that, acknowledging that, as long as these certain things are in, that I'm choosing, recognizing the choice with what that is. So I'm keeping this stuff in, I'm choosing but that this is part of my choice. And so that helps take that responsibility and land it right square where it needs to be on you having the locus of control. Because if it's just this thing that you can't control anymore, then you can't ever step up to the plate and you can forever be a victim, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people when they're trying to go animal-based?
I would say, well, the first thing I always think about that people make a mistake with is under eating, because the foods are so protein heavy and nutrient dense and satiating that it's just so hard when you start eating these kinds of foods to make sure you're eating enough. And especially we start hearing, I should be fasting, I should be doing it this way. And we can get confused on like, what's the right way to do it? The right way to do it is going to be the way that works for you, one. But the other thing is, it is really hard to get in enough food. And I work with so many people who they're eating like, an egg and an ounce of beef, and they're not losing weight because their metabolism's so shot. And so I try to really emphasize that under eating is definitely a thing that can happen, but we can, myself included, I started this way of eating 1,200 calories a day. Now I've doubled that and I didn't gain any weight. So, but in doing so, I'm no longer waking up cold. I'm no longer losing my hair, losing my menstrual cycle, like having low energy, needing to take a nap, brain fog, fatigue. So someone can get away with not eating enough for a week or a month or a year, but eventually it can catch up and we can have slower metabolisms, hormonal imbalances, thyroid problems. So I'd really emphasize, like, make sure we're eating enough. I don't calorie count, but even if just one day, just to get an idea, where am I at? Okay, I'm eating 1 ounce of beef. That's not ideal.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it so much. And we see cravings come back too with the under eating. Yeah. And sleep. Yeah. The sleep, it's really hard. Like, that's one of the number one things. If I have something that's struggling with sleep, is looking at that. Okay, we got to look at this under eating piece and see if that's going to be part of that. So yeah.
Or people will say their testosterone's getting worse, or they're having low libido. And I'm like, okay, well, what are we eating again? Because eat nutrient dense foods, eat eggs, eat beef, eat sardines. But if you eat 1 sardine for the whole day, every day, that's not giving you all the B vitamins. It's not giving you all the zinc and iron and magnesium. So sure, you can get all of the things you need from animal foods, but if you eat a small amount, it's still not giving your body everything it needs. It's the quantity also matters.
So you mentioned fasting. Does that like a daily, intermittent? Have you utilized any sorts of fast throughout your journey? And as your husband?
We both have. We did intermittent fasting for a long time where we weren't having breakfast because naturally we didn't wake up hungry. Yeah. But in doing so, I also couldn't get in enough food. And so since my beginning of my journey, have went from 2 meals to now, like, we'll call it 4.5, because I eat my dessert of yogurt like after.
Wow.
But I just had a hard time getting in enough food, and people can do fasting and really find that they can get in enough food doing it still. And I think fasting is great because it's going to save you a heck of a lot more time than I am. I'm in the kitchen all the time cooking and eating. So I love fasting for the time savings. I love it for the mental cognition, the brain function. I think I work better and I'm more productive when I don't eat in the morning. I just can't get in enough food with just 1 or 2 meals. I am so stuffed that the way that I can get in enough is by eating and multiple times and in small portions. Like I was eating like a pound of beef in one sitting, and I just feel so tired and stuffed that now I just split it up, and it's like, wow, I'm ready for the next meal. I hated eating in the beginning of this because I was just too full. I was like, oh, I don't want to eat anymore. So yeah.
Gotcha. So you can utilize it a little bit for specific periods of time for that mental benefit, but overall, you're just going to do better if you kind of spread it out for digestion and things like that too. Yeah,
Yep.
no, that totally makes sense. This is kind of the opposite end of it. You said one of the biggest mistakes when people are coming to carnivore is the under eating. Have you dealt with volume eating on the other end of things, and has that been an issue that you've helped people with?
Yes. So I've also seen, I think that every trend we see online, whether it's eat raw meat or have a stick of butter a day, I think they all have their place and they work for certain people. But and I don't think anyone's like lying when they're saying it. It doesn't work for everybody. And that's just confusing because when we watch people online, we're like, okay, so I need to start eating something like a stick of butter a day, which I find is very easy to overeat. So that's where I have a lot of people come to me. They're saying I'm eating the small amount of meat that has all the vitamins and minerals, and I'm having all this butter and I'm not full, and I keep overeating it and I'm gaining fat. And butter does have small amounts of things like vitamin D and E, but you have to eat it in large quantities to be getting enough of those B vitamins. Whereas if you could just eat something like meat, you're going to get more bang for your buck. And also butter's not going to have any zinc, iron, potassium, magnesium. It actually doesn't have very many vitamins and minerals in it. It is very just macronutrient dense, fat dense. It's going to give you lots of energy, but you have to also use that energy and be moving around too. So I found mainly the overeating from actually butter or dairy in general.
And I assume that's been trending a little bit in this last year or so, huh?
Yeah. So then it's confusing because they come to me and like, stop eating as much butter. And they're like, but so-and-so said to eat it. And I'm like, well, obviously if it's not working for you, then we're going to do the opposite. But if something's working for you, then keep going at it. So that's like my biggest thing. Like when I'm talking to people is they're like, okay, well, I'm under eating and I'm not losing weight. Okay, we're going to try the opposite. You're going to eat more.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Switch it up a little bit. Keep that metabolic confusion. If you want to say, just try some different things to see how you can get that turned around. Oh my goodness. What are this is really crazy because you are so busy doing so many things. What are your hobbies and such outside of the meat world?
I love traveling. So I actually, by the time I was 20, and again, this is not out of a place of privilege. I just worked at Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors ice cream and saved my money. And I worked at a pizza shop. And so I have been to 19 countries and I've gone to like virtually every single US state. And then I love to scrapbook.
Oh, fun. And you're still spending time scrapbooking?
I would love to. I just have been so busy.
Yes.
I'm trying to give myself time to like have balance because I don't know what happened to Steak and Butter Gal, but so this is not a rumor. I'm not trying to spread anything, but she has a great work ethic, and I admire her for how much she kept going. And I've learned a lot from her. I think I will also burn out maybe one day if that's what happened to her. I'm not sure, but it seems like we can just get caught up in going, and it's okay to take a break. And so I'm trying to get better about that.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah. And you've got your manager that's actively helping you in that knows your goals. And so hopefully they will kind of say, okay, and here's the boundary. And now it's time for you to go scrapbook, honey. Like get that figured out. So I love it. What do you have this coming up? I know you have just things in your family life that are happening this year. Are there any developments that you're looking, or is it just kind of more of what you're doing? You're in your zone and just refining that zone. What are your like goals and dreams for this next little while?
Well, we're also trying to buy a home right now too. But I would say like, as far as like content creation goes, I feel like I've beaten the dead horse with the carnivore thing. Like, I think it's so useful, but there's more to life than just eating meat as well. Like, I think like, moving our bodies and getting sunshine and connecting and having the social life. I think there's so many things that can be advantageous to our health as well. So I have been trying to like put out slowly content unrelated to carnivore because I've done that in the past and it like didn't work as well. So I'm trying to find a way to like intermix it where I'm communicating better, where people will maybe want to click because they think it's carnivore and then they end up going down a whole other thing that opens up their mind and helps them in a different way.
Oh, I think that's so important though. I think that, that we've got that covered. It's pretty popular. It's hard because it's growing and growing and growing. And so I've heard I've heard Megan Ramos say that she never gets tired of teaching somebody their first lesson on how to fast because it's just so exciting and invigorating. And so I was like, okay, I need to have this mindset of like, I should never be bored of someone that says, I just started carnivore 2 weeks ago. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay. So let's, let's unravel this. Let's kind of work through the steps that are typical in this journey. But I think that there's a lot of us that have been in this rut or whatever, we've been in this area for a long time, and it's like, okay, it's so revolutionary, right? Like it revolutionizes our lives. So many of us, it turns everything around. But I think that I love what you're saying right now. And I'm excited to see how things expand and grow into other areas. So I think that's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then circling back to, so your journey with going meat-based, are there issues that you're still looking to solve in your health? Are there issues that you're still kind of curious about and wondering if this thing might turn around?
My dandruff, still never
Okay.
got to the bottom of that. So I do
Gotcha.
think that I do have to say that I think some of it is stress. Like
Yes.
that's the same thing that can impact our blood sugars and then feed fungus. So I think that stress is probably a big thing I have to work on with that. But yeah, I would say my biggest thing would be my dandruff.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that that's so important because we have all these different things we can say, well, was it this because our macros were this or this?
Right.
And I think that stress, more than anything else, we can see that on people that have worn. Have you worn the CGM for periods of time? And did you see any patterns with that?
So when I put the CGM in my arm, I thought it was going to hurt. So I was super stressed when I put it in, which was in the afternoon. And all the other days of the week when I had worn it, my blood sugars were very stable and lower. So I know that because I was stressed putting it in, my blood sugars were higher. Or one time we were like having a heated discussion, if you will. So my blood sugars were higher. So yes, definitely you can see the stress in your CGM.
Oh my goodness. Well, I just wish you so much just clarity about your next steps. And I love that you are so faithful to put this stuff out there. I love the direction that you're going. You're actually, everything is going your maturity is evident in your content. As you know, I know you've got your 10-year plus guide there helping you ground all of that. And so people just have so much to learn from your energy and from the way that you are staying vulnerable and staying honest in your very own process. And that's really humbling and an honor to watch and see that developing. So where can people find you? How can they reach out to you? Are you kind of still available for out and helping folks? And just tell us about that.
I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Lillie Kane. I do have a website too. And if you want to book a coaching call, I do that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. This has been amazing.
Thank you.